Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. I hope y'all had a good week. It's been crazy as usual on the international situation. I feel like we've entered cartoon land. And if Trump was to go in the next speech he gives, I wouldn't even really be surprised at this point because that's how it is. It's crazy. I don't really understand what everybody's doing and why certain people want war so bad, apparently, that they are against any peace talks. It's bizarre. So maybe this is the strong delusion of the Bible. I don't know. Was kind of hoping that peace would last, but I really did not have good hopes. Looking at the pictures of Obama's strange building, it's you said that, and I have looked at it before. This is it. And I have wondered, like, am I just getting old? Or are these things kind of ugly? It's definitely not the ugliest building I've ever seen, but I certainly would not want my library to look like that. And so I'm kind of glad that some young people don't like it, because frankly, I'm like, maybe they just like this ugly, what I think is really ugly stuff. But no, it seems like they don't like it either. I kind of feel like it's just like skill has kind of bled out of the Western hemisphere or something. What is this? This is kind of funny. What is it supposed to look like? A dog? Now once you see it, you can't unsee it. Kind of looks like a squatty dog, actually, because the butt kind of goes like that when you really want to get technical about it. Yeah, see, it should have went like that. What is this comment? Now I have to go look. But this is an eyesore. Yeah, okay. And you know what? I'm not political enough to say it just because it's Obama. I mean, if he had a styling building, I would say it was a styling building. And certainly this is not the worst offense I've seen lately as far as ugly buildings, but it just kind of epitomizes the situation. I do think part of it might be trying to save money. This is like blocky without a bunch of like frilly bits. It actually does save a lot of money, but still. I'm like, what are they going to put in there that is so big? Yeah, so I did find another, it's not Palm Islands, whatever it is, islands. That's actually the biggest one in the world right there. And it's not in Dubai. And Jackie found it. I'll get to it. But it's been done since 2020. So I'm like, well, what? Wait. Because I thought the Palm Islands were the big hot deal. And like 2 weeks ago, they were wonderland of sparkling silver amazement. And now they're just kind of good, but I don't know. The best architecture was in the past. So, I mean, maybe in this timeline, but I have literally seen buildings that were kind of crappy turn into good buildings. Like the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco. I used to go there so much as a child. It was kind of one of the things that my family would do because they weren't into really putting a lot of effort in, was that they would take me to the Palace of Fine Arts. And then my dad would, basically. And then he would take a big, long, million-year nap under a tree while I ran around and did whatever the F I wanted, pretty much. And but I spent a lot of time there. And the structures there were not what they are now. They have definitely changed. So, and there's a whole renovation that happened now that did not happen in my timeline because I was there during that time, and they sure as heck didn't change anything during that time when I was there. So yeah, so that now, Palace of Fine Arts is now considered one of the old world architectures. But I'll tell you, in my timeline, you would not have thought that, because it was obviously kind of, I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it was kind of cheap cement stuff. Like you could tell it was like cheap cement with some rebar in there, and it was kind of falling down, and it was just kind of, nobody's going to think that the ancient builders of stonemason kings made these things. There's no effing way. So I'm really curious now. I can see in images that it's quite different and always has been. And one of these days, if I ever get back to San Francisco, I will go back there and I will check it. It's a hassle to get there because of parking, and it probably costs $500 to park now. If I wouldn't be surprised, but back then it was one of the things you could do for just the cost of gas, is you could just drive there, and if you drove around long enough, you could find a parking space, and then you walk to there and then just hang out, and then Dad would buy me some bird seed so I could feed the birds. So for him, it was like the world's cheapest way to entertain the kid, and he could take a big long nap. So it was 2 thumbs up for him. They actually used styrofoam. So in this reality, I think it was the 70s last I checked. The original Palace of Fine Arts was pretty much sort of torn down and redone completely in, I think, the 70s. So it isn't the one that it was before the 70s. That's the official reality last I checked. So that couldn't have happened because I was visiting there then, and it didn't happen. So in my timeline, that didn't happen. So that kind of makes everything really confusing, because what's up there now would technically be the reconstruction from the 70s. If I remember correctly, that's what it said. So, but even before the 70s, it looked like it does now, which is not how it used to look. I think if they hadn't redone that 70s thing, I would be even more eager to get down there and look at it. But it shouldn't be possible for it to be the old world tech, because supposedly it was torn down, unless that's fake. Is that fake? I don't know. Taking a nap when you have kids is the worst idea ever. So, I just was not a troublemaking child, and I wouldn't do. First of all, that was the 70s. We all ran around all the time, and all the dumb ones got killed or something. I don't know. But the rest of us kind of knew how to not get killed. And I was pretty good kid overall, so, and I had enough brain cells to be careful when it was necessary, when you really should be careful. So it was more common then. I mean, what my dad did, and I wasn't 2 years old or anything, I mean, I was a little older. I think I was 5 by then, which still by the current era would be considered a crime upon a crime and child reckless endangerment. You'd probably get arrested. But in those days, And the other thing is, in those days, people kind of kept an eye on everybody. I mean, if you saw a kid that was going to get killed, you would go over there and help, I don't know. It was a little bit more of a village attitude, What a drag it is getting old. Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like that sometimes, but then at other times I'm like, wow, I hope I get to see a whole new world and AI, and I'm seeing a lot of crazy shite, so maybe I'll get to see the aliens land, so there'll be that. I mean, the Mandela, that's crazy shit. I don't know what else is coming, so I don't know. You can't leave kids. Well, you shouldn't leave kids alone. You certainly can leave them alone, but I was a pretty responsible child, I might say too. As far as just not making really stupid mistakes too often. And just kind of, I was pretty good at saying oh, that looks like I might really get hurt, so I think I won't do that. And I think maybe girls tend to be a little bit better at that, whereas as boys tend to be screw it, I'm going to try it. But yeah, well, there weren't many channels on TV when I was a kid, and you saw the same shows over and over. There was no internet, there was no smartphones, there was no cell phones. So you would have to go outside and you would play. Climbing up between two houses in the city which are close. Yeah, see, that does kind of sound like a dude thing. All right, well, speaking of weird, let's see. Now, I kind of want to talk about that ghost murmur tech thing. So it's kind of bizarre because I guess Trump is saying that the way we found the missing pilot was using ghost murmur tech, a secret tech that we've been hiding that supposedly uses quantum magnetometry to find human heartbeats at like miles away. And I don't know, it sounds like total BS to me, and like the experts are saying nah. So this is really confusing to me because on one hand I wouldn't exactly be shocked if this came into the timeline or some version of it, and maybe Trump was like saying it wrong and it wasn't like quantum but it was something else, like, but it was kind of similar, or but on the other hand, the whole story of like what happened over there in Iran is it is questionable that it happened the way that it is being claimed in the United States. Now, I'm not going to say there's a smoking gun, but there's a lot of reasons to go, we sent 75 planes in there to rescue to one guy, and that's not normally the smart way to do things. And then it was right next to the Natanz nuke facility, and they've been talking about going in and getting the Natanz nuke facility uranium for weeks now, so maybe they were just going to the Natanz, I mean, it was right. If you're trying to find your missing guy, do you plop down right next to a city and a nuke facility and like I'm going to set up camp over here, right next to the city? They'll never find me here. Just like, now if you're trying to get the uranium, it makes sense because you have to go near the uranium to get the uranium, right? If you're trying to get the uranium, maybe you thought you're going to blast in there and get it in an hour and blast out of there before Iran can do anything. But if you're looking for a dude that, is missing, that could take hours, and I don't know. The whole thing is weird. So that's why this whole quantum murmur thing, I'm like, that sounds ridiculous too. Maybe he's trying to scare the Iranians, but then, timelines are weird. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe that'll be like really shifty. I wouldn't be surprised if that event is really shifty. My sister's daughter was basically forcing her brother to eat an experimental slop. I mean, forcing to see, like, she grabbing his hair and stuffing it down his throat, or she was just saying, because, like, assuming it was still food, even if it's gross, I don't think anybody's going to die. So, like, my brother was not as responsible as me, and I don't know if it would have been a good idea to leave him unguarded at the same age that they left me unguarded. But I suspect that they waited a few years longer before that. So, like, my dad, when he first would go, it wasn't his plan to fall asleep, but I never did anything bad, and it was just hard to stay awake. And then I think after a while, he's like, I'm just going to go ahead and go to sleep instead of fighting it. It wasn't like, it wasn't the first plan on the first day, but if I was at a shopping center with my mom for too long, I'd start freaking out. Well, so, you got to realize that us kids, my parents, and this was common, they used to say, you have to go outside and get sunshine, which I suspect actually is true, that it is good for you to do that. But it was considered healthy to go outside, and everybody did it since they were like really young. And so people were very independent because you just learned to be very independent. So there were no kids that couldn't like I don't know any kids that couldn't just do things on their own from an early age. And how do you get like that? Because you do it. You know, you just practice makes perfect. You know, if you don't do it and you're kind of helicopter parented until you're 12 and then suddenly you got to do something on your own, well, you know, of course you're going to suck at it because you just didn't do it. He claims he was forced, but they were both laughing. Yeah, that sounds a little suspicious. You know, it sounds a little bit like cry bullying. Yeah, she made me. Ha 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 ha. You know, kids are so, I don't know. They're in a way they're a little in one thing about kids now, I think they're a little bit more socially savvy because of the internet, and they've learned like a lot more tricks about interacting and being sneaky, and so one of the things I think kids got better at is you know, pretend poor me syndrome. Okay, so this one, I got a bunch, and most of them are from Jackie, so I'll go through those first. So this weird fish was found recently in Venezuela. Does it look kind of like a certain person that you know? It's a little orange with blonde hair, except for it's a little red, but. And it was found in Venezuela. Rare fish species found in Venezuela. As far as I can tell, it is a real fish. Best I can tell. Nowadays, all kinds of weird stuff's found. There's not many pictures of it because it was just found, though. You know, there's so many weird ones now, like this thing. These hand fishes, you know, they first came out, they were just sort of like fins in the front that kind of scraped on the ground, and now it's a whole demon fish now with hands and stuff. I mean, look at all of them, you know, it's just like, ew. Is that one real? I think that one's real. I'm not sure, that I can't tell anymore. Is that one real? Spotted near, I don't think this is the one spotted near Venezuela. I think that's an AI. I can still kind of tell, but it's getting harder. See, even that it's a little questionable, but I think that one's okay. Why does this have this thing? Is that got another one standing on its head? Venezuela's diverse species. Okay, so what? Venezuela's going to have 10 million weird fish? Okay, there's the one we weren't looking for. All right. Dark science. All right, I'll close that one down. Don't think we have to beat that one. I was kind of looking at this one. Those are kind of cool. Is it the same fish? But one has a spotted head and one has a dark head. So there's so much variation in them now. No love for chameleon whiptail catfish. So the same fish can have, you know, it used to be you could just look at the coloration and know what you're dealing with. But now they're like puppies, you know. Each one comes out different. Those are kind of cute, though. There are too many people. Wait, there's way less people at the malls now, I'll tell you that. I seem to be the only human who enjoyed lockdown. You know what? I know a million millennials that loved lockdown. I don't think millennials like in-person contact as much. And again, I think it's because they're not used to it. Like, we grew up without internet, so if you wanted to have conversations and socialize, you had to go and do it in person. So we all got used to it. And there is a certain like nervous, like slight uncomfortableness every time you meet somebody, but you just do it a whole bunch of times and you just get over it, you know. And but if you could just sit on your butt in the house and talk to people, then you're just not going to be learning that as much. You're not going to be forced into it as much. So you get like the internet, and it's in some ways it's safer. Like, you know, they don't know who you are. You can think about what you're going to say before you say it. You can pretty much prevent yourself from being too much of an idiot. And if you did, you can just go erase it, right? So there's a much more comfort in it, but you know, you don't get the same depth out of it. So in that way, it's sort of like a cheap copy, in my opinion. You get this easier, cheaper version, but yet it's addictive, you know. I mean, I get it. I'm on social media too, so I'm not like trying to finger wag, but because I grew up before that was an option, I just learned how to deal with humans. So I can still go out and deal with humans if I really want to. What lockdown? I still went out and did stuff. Yeah, you know, I totally. You got to know where you're at, though. I mean, like, in my area, there was a fair lot of scofflaws, and nobody was getting arrested for walking down the street. I mean, there in Australia, looks like they were tackling people and dragging them off and stuff. So, you know, I could be a scofflaw where I was fairly safely, but. If I was in LA, they weren't, I don't think they were really enforcing it, but it would just be a lot less comfortable because everybody was super paranoid over there. Okay. All right, so there's a whole bunch of weird bugs that Jackie found. I have not seen this one yet. It's what did they call that thing? That one was, hold on a sec. Hot neon hopper nymph. I don't think we've seen that thing yet. There was other ones that have like fuzzy stuff sticking up. These little hopper nymphs. There was just one kind originally, but now there's like dozens or maybe hundreds. I don't know. Cartoonish cottony cushion scale. I've noticed there's so many fuzzy things now. I mean, like super fuzzy caterpillars. I think we had that one on. I think that's it. I have not seen this thing. That's the hot neon nymph. Yeah. Jewel beetle's been on. That thing's been on. Okay, so I think that's it for those. Okay, so most people have seen mallards, like that kind of duck called mallard. It's a specific species. So what looks different about this mallard here? And there's that's the male. So there's a male and a female. So I'm specifically discussing the male here. What looks different about this male mallard and that one? Frankly, I don't remember all these purple things on them either. I think that's a female. Is that really a mallard? I don't remember any purple on the female. That's a female also. Okay, here we go. There's male. I do feel like this purple spot or this blue spot is more prominent than before. The other thing I would say is I sell mallard feathers, and they just come in a big bag, and then I sort them with the ones with the blue and the ones without the blue, and then there's a different price according to if they have blue or not. And I do feel that a lot more have blue on them now than when I first used to get those. There's just a lot more blue going on. I don't remember like seeing this bright spot here, but that is actually not what we're discussing. And there's these weird light lines actually. That's not it. You know, and there's a chance maybe it's hidden under the wing. I don't think so, because there's a lot of mallard ducks around here. I think I would have seen it, but... And I mean, like, see this? I think I should have seen this. Because, you know, ducks are always doing that. They're always running across the water and like, that stuff. It's not like they just sit there and do nothing the whole time. They're fairly active. because there's usually a big pile of them. So that, 90% of them might be lazy, but there's always a few running on the water and swimming around like idiots. And okay, so this is interesting because I don't remember the females having that blue. It looks like purple there. So I guess they do now. They do have the blue, the females. That's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that, first of all, but that is not what we're specifically looking at. There's a bajillion kinds of catfish. I know. The fish, it's sort of like I just gave up on fish and some of the monkeys and stuff and some of the bugs because there's too many, but every now and then I'll just do some really extra wacky ones. I haven't been around in 2 years, and there's still newly discovered Mandelas. You know what? It's crazier than ever. There's a lot that I just, when it first came out, we were like, oh my God, this word in this song changed. And now it's like, the words in all the songs changed. There's a few words in like every song that are changed. And I don't even talk about it anymore because it's old. And the geography ones are changing all the time. And a lot of times I don't talk about them because they're kind of smaller ones. So, I think it's more than ever. It's gotten to the point where, like, especially lately, I just, like, everything is different. The whole history is different. You do know we are related to these animals. Well, I don't know. It does seem like, frankly, animals just magically show up. From my perspective, they weren't there, and then they're there. So, maybe I'm not related to them. So many Aussies followed the rules at lockdown. It looked like in the cities they were really enforcing it. That's the perspective I saw from the USA. I'm not sure if that's really the case, but out in the country, and that was true here, the more rural, the less super Nazi they were. There's just something about the cities that they were more into it. Okay, so what was different is that they have that white neckline. That Jackie noticed that. I don't remember them having a white neckline right there between the green head and the brown. Frankly, I do think they have, like more white and stuff under them and other things too. But basically, they didn't have a white necklace before. I don't remember that being the thing. And it does kind of stick out for me. It would just go brown, then green. It's really noticeable here on the close-ups. See, like that one looks better. Well, no, if you can find one where you don't really, like his head is crunched in. If the head is crunched in enough and you don't really see the white line, to me that looks more natural. Like, see here, unfortunately, if I click on that, I think it'll, yeah, there we go. That looks better to me because his face is hiding the white line. See, it just, I think there's more like white lines showing besides that one, but. So I don't really remember this chest and then the lighter color here, and there they are. It shows both. Okay, so yes, not exactly the shock of the universe if that's changing. Blue, purple. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, wasn't it like blue, but yet some of it looks purple, so I don't know. I've noticed with the world maps, there's loads of faces in the coastlines. Well, the coastlines have gotten all, ones that used to be kind of straight, they got all these weird, like, little mini bays and stuff. I think they're calling them bites now, and they look like someone took a bite. I'm in Victoria, lockdown was severe. Oh, yeah, that's right, because Australia is massive, and the different regions had different attitudes about the lockdown, too. So there's that. Egyptian blue is a great color. I love a nice deep blue for sure. In Australia, you could get shot in the back with rubber bullets if you sneezed. I mean, it was a weird time because, like, if you had an allergy and you had to sneeze, and then you're like, if I sneeze, everybody's going to think I have the deadly plague, you know? Like, my friend has, he has bad lungs, so he coughs a lot, and I'm like, man, you better stay home because they're gonna kill you. But I was told if I took my fish and chips down to the beach, I could be arrested. Yeah, so like Cali, I believe they were kicking people off, and there were some fines given off by some of the extra a-hole cops, but it wasn't the standard. But and it was weird because some areas they're like, you can go on the beach but not in the water. In other areas you can go in the water but not in the beach. And I'm like, you guys are just making crap up. You don't... Coughs can't be controlled. You can control them. It's just not very fun. And it depends on how bad they are. But here, yeah, no, my friend with the bad lungs, the doctors know about it. He has emphysema, so they know. Yeah, the cops approached me for not wearing a mask in Sydney. You know, so locally there was a curfew, and I was a complete and utter scofflaw, and I just drove around after. Like, what's the point of a curfew? Squish everybody into the daylight so we, like, have more people spreading germs? You know, if I want to be out at 2 a.m., that's the best time because nobody else is out, so I won't be spreading germs, right? It's just dumb. The whole thing was dumb. So I was like, of all things, I am not paying attention to this dumb curfew. But apparently they did pull some people over and demand to know, like, because there were certain exceptions that you could say you were a essential worker or something. And I talked to people later that said they did get pulled over and asked if they had, like, permission slip. And that did not happen to me. And I'm so glad because I would have been even more furious. I mean, I would have given them a song and dance that I'm an essential worker because I do shipping or something. What are they going to check? You know, but still, I would have been so furious. And there were like a number of restaurants here that on the second lockdown, when everybody was so over it, and everybody was like, so many people were being scofflaws by then. Permission slips from... You're supposed to get a permission slip from your boss saying that you were an essential worker or something. I don't even know because I don't know how you would get them. I think it came from your boss. But, yeah, it's just, I don't know. He had one because he worked at the gas station, so he was considered an essential worker. But he was mad about that being pulled over, too. Not on my watch. Every man, woman, and child's God-given right to eat fish and chips by the beach. I don't know. What are you going to do if 5 cops come and they've got guns and they tell you to get off the effing beach? You know, you're going to get arrested. I mean, I hate to say it, but either you get off the beach or you're going to get arrested. So either way, you're not going to be able to eat your... If you get arrested, you're not going to be able to eat your chips, which is a very important factor to consider here. There is no plea the fifth when it's trespassing. So, all right. Anyway, that's enough of the mallard business. Okay, so I guess this is deserts now. Deserts in the spring. These remind me of a ground cover that we grow here. It's not them, but it looks like it. But it needs a little water. It doesn't grow wild in the desert. But these, apparently, if they have a good spring rain, then the deserts in Atacama, which I think is Brazil, will do this now. And so to me, this doesn't look like a desert, right? This looks like, I don't know, the plains or something, but that's a thing now. Desierto Florido in Atacama Desert. So, you know, they talk a lot about the spring flower in the deserts, but it wasn't like freaking like this before. But that's, I guess, the way we're headed now, which is cool. I'm not going to complain too hard about, I mean, that's ridiculous though. Sorry, that's not the desert. So, you know, the seeds and stuff are just way more tough now. And I guess they get a couple big rains and they just like grow really fast, and they just sit there for years and years, and then they all just explode all at once. And I guess they can live longer now under the dirt and grow faster. Covered in flowers. Oh, in Chile. It's in Chile. Atacama Desert in Chile. I'm sorry, that was it. It was Chile. I'm gonna bet we're gonna get this everywhere. Look at that. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but that is ridiculous. I mean, is this even real? That exact color of flower is on this succulent that we have, and that's why it's not, that is not what causes this one, but Desierto Florida. Let me see what the name of that thing is. It wasn't that one. It was, the problem is it's now all in Spanish. Okay, it's this guy. Astrolomeria kingi is an species, something herbaceous, perennial, rhizomes. Belongs to the family of Alstroemeriaceae. Originates in the north of Chile. Okay, so it's that thing. There's another one. Okay, that one does it. None of these are the ones I've seen here, but... Okay, so anyways... Cool. I've seen that on some plains, but I've never seen it in the desert. Okay. These are all Jackie ones. Jackie, I think the next pile of them are all Jackie ones. You guys remember Harambe, right? How do you even say that? Harambe, the famous sad incident where a silverback, like a kid fell into the enclosure of a silverback gorilla, and the gorilla was kind of dragging him around, and then they end up killing the gorilla to save the kid, because I guess nobody was willing to go in there and try to just get the kid the normal way, and they thought maybe the gorilla would kill the kid. Probably not, but they weren't going to take a risk. Do you remember the race of the kid that fell in there? Like, do you remember what the kid looked like at all? Because I think for me, and also I believe for Jackie, what the child looked like. It's a different child now that fell in there. And I think I would have remembered. Now, there's a reason why I would have remembered if this had been the race the whole time. Dark hair, white child. They used trank darts. No, they killed Harambe. Harambe died. Harambe, that's how you say it. You know, I don't actually hear it that much. Harambe died. Shot and killed Harambe. Yeah, he died. Maybe in your timeline he didn't. I like your timeline better. Blonde child. No, Harambe died. The kid lived. Now it's an Asian daughter and a baby comes in. He walked in and the father didn't do anything. Is that what happened now? I thought that's interesting. I'm going to have to watch more of the video. Because in my video, the kid, like, there was a drop and the kid had plopped down over the edge. And then they were dangling over trying to reach the kid, but the kid was too far down there, and the gorilla was kind of dragging him around. And the kid was kind of, pretty young and stupid. All kids are stupid at that age, so. I remember you reporting on that BBC interview in an old live. Trank darts. No, I think you could trank one of them beasts, but they didn't have it. Or the trouble with trank is it usually doesn't work very fast. So you trank them and then they're kind of dumb for a while and they get dumber and then and then you're not sure how much to have, and you have to have the stuff on hand, which they may not have had. You don't remember the interview where the kid interrupts? No, I don't actually. Okay, so this is the kid now. It is a African American child, which I swear to God, I remember a white kid. I think the hair was pretty light. I'm not 100%, but I am 100%. It was some pasty white kid with floppy hair. Like there was its hair more like mine, kind of longish, not long, but you know how boys' hair, they didn't cut it for 4 weeks and it's kind of longish. It was that kind of hair. That was the hair that kid had. It did not have short shaved African American hair. There is no effing way. I remember the kid was kind of I just remember the hair was it was good hair. And so I don't think he had a green shorts on. I think it was red, and I think it was a white shirt. I'm pretty sure it wasn't green. The other thing is, if you watch the whole video, Harambe drags him a lot harder in this video. In the other video, the old days, he kind of dragged the kid through the water some. But in this video, he grabs that kid and he just takes off, and the kid is splat through the water. It's kind of rough, it certainly wouldn't kill a child, but it is a little bit more extreme. And in this video, I don't remember there ever having been a solid wall. Somehow when they start, they're by this wall. And I just remember this going on, and probably I would have assumed it went all the way around. So the whole thing is just different. There's the child again. I mean, I'm assuming the child was fine. He was fine in my old timeline, and I didn't see anything where he would have gotten seriously injured. He just was really scared. I would imagine his arm would have been a little sore, maybe a little torqued after that dragon, but yeah, so there's you have to be careful when you're talking about African American people and gorillas. So I think I would have been be careful of the jokes you make and stuff, just because of the things that you shouldn't say, political correctness and all that. You just have to be a little careful. And now it is kind of a thing, because of the current race of the child is different. And so I think I would have remembered for that reason too, but I just remember that hair. I don't know, I always remember hair really good, especially if they have good hair. Hair I think is awesome, which is pretty floppy, silky looking hair. And that's what that kid had, was floppy, silky looking hair. This kid doesn't have hardly any hair, so you don't even know if you like his hair because there ain't any really there. So I don't know. I think that has for sure changed. And the outfit he's wearing and some of what happened. People claim they saw a blonde girl. I definitely remember a boy. The hair was a little long, but not girl long, But who knows? Who knows in another timeline, maybe there was a timeline where there's an Asian kid. There's a timeline where there's a girl. Once it changes once, how many times can it change? blondes going missing. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we are moving into a timeline where there'll be less white people. You know, it is what it is. I'm not going to, like, that particular thing is not really a humongous concern for me. I don't think white people are going to go extinct, so. Yeah, I know. There's no way I was a black kid. I know. We're apes. I don't know. See, like, that's the official narrative that we're descended from a line of apes or something. But like I said, I see now that stuff just shows up. So, you know, I don't know how Darwin works if stuff just shows up. Like, species just show up. Of course, it wasn't the gorilla's fault. And I don't know, like, what decision I would have made if I was in charge there. Like, and I'm not a gorilla expert, you know, I mean, I think I definitely would have been thinking about maybe throwing some food down and hoping it distracted the gorilla, but you know, I'm not a behavioral expert either, so I really don't know. It was definitely a tough decision. You know, it's kind of one of the things that is interesting though, because a lot of people are like, you know, the society has gone downhill ever since Harambe died. You know, there's kind of a joke that way, and I don't think anybody took it too seriously, but that was an ongoing thing. What is your explanation for where those blonde children people are? So, you know, like, this reality is different and the way things developed, and it just might be that there are less, like, the white people were less successful, so there are fewer of them. Yeah, it was definitely a boy for me. I think it's weird. Certain things I'll be really good at remembering, and other things I suck. And I kind of feel like, you know, this kind of goes back to what I was saying before. If a kid's gonna be dumb and jump over a big drop off area into the animal cage, usually that's gonna be something a boy decides to do, and the girl will usually be like, yeah, I might get hurt, you know. But now, I'm not going to say it's 100%, certainly, you know, and girls will do other dumb stuff but that's different than what boys will do, but I mean, I'm not trying to say girls are better or whatever. I mean, there's times when you need that, like, it's kind of said that men are more, like, boys are more expendable and they take more risks for that reason. And if you look at it from a species perspective, you know, if you need to have a lot of females, but you really only need to have a few males. So in that way, they would say they're more expendable. Now, maybe that's changing, you know, maybe with all the weird glitching and everything, that won't always be the case. But okay, so yeah, that's the child. Okay, this one is another one. We've had these on before, so you might remember these. So they showed up and they're like, oh, look at these weird little oases in the deserts. And there were a bunch of them. But they were a lot smaller then. And then they said, oh, there's hard rock underneath, so it rained so much this year. It was a very unusual year that it rained so much that it made these temporary puddles or ponds in the desert because underneath is so hard that it couldn't drain away, because historically, if it rains a lot in the sand, it just soaks up into the sand. But there became this story that it didn't happen this one year. And then it got so they got bigger and bigger. I mean, like, look at how big it is in this one. This thing is like a whole lake. These are tiny people here. Or I should say the lake is big and they were normal-sized people. they look tiny. So that's become more of a thing, and now it's just a seasonal thing that happens every year between January and June, and there's a gajillion of these, and they're huge. See, here's another one, and now it's like a whole national preservation area, and now there's also this weird thing where it like butts up against the forest, like just like this, like suddenly, and the story then is that the winds blow from one direction and it piles up along the edge of the forest, and so you have this like sudden crazy demarcation point. There's another one. So I get the impression that these are natural, like it just suddenly changes. So you can see there's bajillions of these things now. To the point where it's hard to walk because there's so much water. And these are huge, and they're like really long. And you could swim across them because they're not, well, they're a little bit wide, but so they're all kind of connecting in this big squiggly things. And I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. So I think those are people there. So there are like almost like pretty big lakes. When I first saw them, they were only like maybe 20 foot long or something. But now we have this. So that's ridiculous. And then here's a pull out version of it. So all of those are the, whatever the, what do they call them? Lagoons or something. And the other thing that's weird is for some reason there's not really vegetation growing along here. I mean, if those things are there every year, I mean, maybe the sand shifts in between so the seeds get lost, but you would think that some plants would somehow grow if those are there for 6 months, but yet they don't. I don't know, maybe it'll show up later, but I have not seen one image where there's anything other than algae growing in here. I mean, the exception might be this weird forest deal. I don't know. So this, I guess, is the... I don't even get what's happening here because we've got the forest and then the non-forests. That's the latest thing. And some of this red stuff showing up. So this is getting interesting. I mean, we could get it. If this is going to start doing the colors thing where we have all different colors in each pond, and we've seen that in other locations. Okay, so now it's called Lenswa Maranhensis National Park. Before they just called it the desert, but now it's a whole park. It's a heritage site in Brazil. Strong Atlantic winds constantly push sand inland. That makes that strong demarcation point. And also, they used to say that was a desert, but now it is not a true desert, but a wet desert. Ever heard of a wet desert? No. Bet you didn't. Receiving 78 inches of rain annually. So, is it not a desert if it gets all that rain? 300 times more than the Sahara. The rainfall pools over an impermeable rock layer beneath the sand, creating thousands of crystal clear lagoons, while the extreme humidity allows specialized sand-fixing pioneer plants to thrive at the edges, forming the distinct green border seen in photographs. I think that's, this is the dumb AI. I think that's the difference between the forest and then the non-forest. Here we go. Sharp dividing line between lush forest and white sand in Lenswa Maranhensis, Brazil. Okay, that's a slightly different version of what I just read earlier. Are there other locations where this happens? Not nearly at this scale, but there's a small town in Oregon called Florence that has ocean, sand dunes, and forest in the same spot. Apparently, the place where the book Dune was inspired. Let's see. Okay. Well, all right. Never mind. Okay, so that the point is that that keeps changing. They were not nearly this big. I mean, literally, when they first came in, it was just like this size, probably a little smaller. And then I'm like, oh, wait, now they're this big, now they're this big. But now this one will go on and on and on and on. So now they're like 100 times larger than they ever were before. And when they first came in, it was just some freak thing for that season only due to high levels of rain that year. And now it happens every year from January to June. And it's a heritage site because of that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and here's another thing. I found this one image, and that's them, Lensois marahensis, and it's all red. And, okay, I believe here that these little dots are the lagoons. So I don't know why this is all red, but some kind of algae bloom thing. And when you look at that and then this, I'm thinking that we're going to get some color. I mean, this could be just some kind of, because the ocean is still bluish, right? I mean, it could be some kind of special color altered thing, but once I saw this, I am thinking it's going to turn red. Oh, here's another one. Oh, and there's a lot now that I clicked on that one. And these are really cool looking too. Wait, is that going to have color? No. But, you know, you got these pools with the algae and the high heat, and that is like the premium environment for the colors. Ugh. Emerald sand dunes in Brazil. Why is it? I think those are color altered. I don't trust that one. That one also looks a little fishy. But it could come. Just wait, there will be fish living in those weird lakes. So, you know, now we have these weird shrimps. We discussed those last week, where they sprout from eggs and they spawn and they eat little algae and stuff. Yeah, that's that place where the lagoons were in Brazil. It's not a beach, though, because it goes way inland. There's a beach there, but then the desert, the wet desert now, it's like way inland. Okay, the red part, yeah, I don't know. Beats me, I don't know what's going on. Oh, yeah, there's the walking fish. You're right, Shari. Maybe they'll just have walking fish. You know, let me just see. Lagoons. In, what is that called? Lensois sand lagoons. What? Have fish. Put. Many contain fish despite the temporary and isolated nature of the bodies. Oh, they have species such as wolffish, which burrow into the wet mud to enter a state of dormancy during the dry season. Okay, I forgot, but some of them can just go dormant on a mud. And remember, they were digging up the fish. You go to the dry soil and they dig out the dried fish, except for they're alive. Okay. Fish are most visible during July and September when the lagoons are at their peak. Some fish species survive the dry months by laying dormant in the mud, while others migrate via river channels when the water levels rise. The park supports a diverse range of fish. Okay, wolffish. Burrow into wet mud. Let's just check that out. Let's try this. Wolffish, Lensois sand dunes. Wait. Sand dunes. Did I spell that right? I think so. All right, let's see. Do we see fish there? First, no talking. You can see they're quite large. Do we see any fish? Can't really tell. It's let me just try it with Google. I feel like there should be a video of this. Maybe it's too fresh, but why do I only have short videos? How about videos? The fish breathe through its intestines. You can't make this stuff up. Okay. Oh, the armored catfish. We've seen these before. I don't remember it breathing through its intestines, though. That's a new one. Collects in the valleys, between the sand dunes. All right. You know, we've seen these guys, but I don't remember them being in the Lensois forest. Okay. You know, you guys guessed it. Okay. I bet you didn't guess the breathes through the intestines, though. I bet you didn't guess that. There's always one more thing. Well, you were right, Vivian. There are fish pretty soon. Yeah, see, that's exactly why I'm saying when people say, well, you're related to those. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that those, like those sand sleeping fish were not in my old timeline. You did not used to be able to go to a dry lake bed and dig with a shovel and dig up live fish out of non-water. It just was not a thing.
Fish.
Quiet. No. Okay, we can't do that. We can't have music on. It's going to cause a problem. Those shorts, they're hard to shut up, and if you breathe, they start playing again. We keep reading about animals that were thought to be extinct, suddenly found alive in some remote region, or hiding in plain sight. And of course, I've never heard of any of them before. Yeah, a science fiction writer couldn't make the stuff up. Yeah, I do believe that if in the old days they had written a thing where, like, these fish don't need water, they can just go dormant and sleep in the sand, you know, that would be wild. That would be like, oh, that guy has so much imagination. That's crazy, but we know it could never really happen, right? That would have been the attitude back then. Okay, so the thumbnail. Boink. Ocean Flower Island is in Hainan, and that is in that's that island that used to be a little island. Hainan Island. This okay, so it's Haihua Island that sticks off of Hainan Island. And that's the shape of the thing. So it's here. So this is Hainan. I don't remember Hainan being nearly this big, for starters. Let me take that off. So there's Hainan, there's Taiwan. It's the same size as Taiwan about now. And I really don't remember it being that big. I remember seeing that a while ago, and I'm like, who remembers Hainan Island? And there were people who were skeptical about it, but I'm quite sure it wasn't as big as Taiwan. So very fishy. All right. So apparently this thing, where was it at now? I forgot. I think it was over here. Oh, I forgot. It was on the top somewhere. And I lost it. It's gone. All right, wait. What was the name of it again? It's Haihua Island. Hold on. Haihua Island. Yeah? Where'd you go? There. I don't know why it didn't finish. Okay, there it is. So this now is the biggest one of these man-made tourist islands, what they're calling it. It is the biggest one in existence. It is larger than the Palm Jumeirah, however you say that. And it was finished in 2020, supposedly. Although I don't know if they've actually finished building on it. They have a lot of buildings on here, and some of this might be planned. It looks like this is a planned, which is pretty cheeky to build this and then have a planned open space, but it looks like this is a planned open space. But it's kind of hard to tell because there's not many places to zoom down in. And it's a little lower quality than I sometimes see. So, fairly tall buildings. It's some of this is more fancy than Jumeirah. Some pretty big ones in here. See, like this one doesn't look like they finished whatever they were going to do. But supposedly it was done in 2025, and this is in 2020, and this is 2025. So maybe what they mean is that the main island was done. This is interesting. It looks like stepping stones, but what is it? Boats all going across at the same time? That maybe it's some kind of locks or something. Okay, so it looks like they've poured cement around the edges, so they shouldn't have a big problem with the sand. Looks like they've done more to control the sand than they did over in Dubai. So the current story in the Dubai one is that there's a big problem with the sand always eroding, and then you gotta pay a high fee to control for that. Okay. This is crazy here. This is a nice building. It looks like a clam. So there's definitely some nice business going on. This is kind of like the Amazing World kind of stuff that I was seeing on the Palm Island before. Some of it like this. Like everywhere. Maybe not quite that big, but just crazy stuff like that. Okay, so if you come over here. So what I remember is that the Palm Islands were like this new thing they were trying, and they were all special, and they were amazingly big. But now this thing was done before, and it's further along except for Jumeirah. Well, maybe even, let's see. So there's not many places I can zoom down. I think here was one. Shoik. And you can see there's some nice buildings in here, but they have a lot of open space that was built in, which is pretty cheeky to put all this in and then have a ton of open space too. 2D. Trying to find, there was a really neat one here. 'Cause 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 here. 'C Okay, I've been to that one. That's inside. You can see there's buildings all the way around here. I mean, this is not an optical illusion. There are literally a bajillion buildings in there. Okay, we did that one. There was somewhere there. You know, and here looks really neat. What are those? Those are really cool. Is there any way to get in there? Here. It seems strange to me that there are so few locations where you can zoom down. Oh, neat. So this is kind of the crazy worlds kind of stuff that I was kind of seeing over there on Palm Island. Not quite as artistically unusual, I would say. And they had a lot more water feature and stuff. So, like, these will be crazy, but then right next to it will be a big bunch of, like, field and trees and stuff. And Dubai doesn't do that kind of thing. I think it's too hard to keep plants alive when there's no water and stuff. So they just paved the crap out of everything, and it was sparkling silver buildings everywhere. So, like, this building behind, you'd see something like that. And then just another one, and there'd be overpasses, and you can't even see, like, you could be on a space station for all you knew. That's how it was. It's not so much like that now. But it still kind of freaks me out that it's gone. Like, that crazy world's gone, and now this thing showed up. I think this one is very shifty, too, because, I mean, like, some of these, I'm like, I remember seeing this, but I don't remember seeing that. So that's one of the reasons I made it the thumbnail, was I think it's, like, my God, I don't even remember seeing that. Hold on. Set to north. Wink. Yeah, I don't think I even remember seeing that recently. So, yeah, what the heck? Very shifty, very, very, very shifty. So, what, China then? China's going to be kicking the butt on these tourist islands, I guess, now? And Hainan, that didn't even exist before. So, I guess I've got to come over here and be watching this stuff now. This showed up. Are they going to get more along here? I mean, you can't even, like, nobody even knows about this thing. Haihua Island. Ocean Flower Island. Let's look at some images. I mean, that doesn't even look real. This is crazy. Those are those. Okay, cool. Never even heard of this stuff. Is that also Haihua? Okay, I don't think so. I don't think that's Haihua. This might be. All right, let's just see what the wiki has to say here. Ocean Flower Island. Artificial archipelago. City in Hainan. Built by Evergrande. Evergrande? Isn't that ship that got stuck in the Suez? Was owned by the Evergrande Group? 3 islets. 940 acres. Conceived by the founder of Evergrande. I think that might be the same company. That's interesting. Designed in violation of Hainan's environmental protection laws. The boundaries of the protected area around the island were later restored. Gotta have some drama. Not very many images in the gallery. Let's see what we got here, though. Okay, there's here. Man, keep an eye on this. I feel like that's very shifty. says 2020. That was when it supposedly was done. So, okay, that's it for that. Not much on here. I just feel like there should be way more. There's some amazing buildings on here and almost no photos. Something this spectacular should get a few news stories. Yep. Weird new species pop up from nowhere, yet I'm supposed to believe everything evolved from microbes. Yep. Yeah, I think that Bible stuff might be more accurate now. I don't know if it always was, but the evidence is moving more towards that. And then we're gonna, it looks like we're gonna get maybe World War III-ish. World War III, aliens, and AI are all coming down the chute rapidly. So I don't know how that's all going to interact, but you could have a whole nother world pretty fast with all three of those things clacking around. And then it looks like they're going to be interdimensional aliens, which would line up with the Bible spirits, and there's good ones and bad ones stuff. Now there's talk, I mean, literally senators are talking about being informed that there was a hybrid breeding program. So if they're interdimensional aliens, then they must get here physically if there's got DNA to steal from them, right? I mean, like, that actually is confusing. So do we have interdimensional ones and ones that fly in from space? Is there space? I don't know anything anymore. I mean, like, I look at the International Space Station glitches, and it's clear that those look to me like they're faked. I mean, that doesn't mean there's no space. It could be that they just aren't showing you what they're really doing, but everything is so crazy and fake and weird now. 2020, no, we looked at that part of the Earth because of the new Hainan Island. Yeah, we did. I'm just not sure if I really zoomed in enough to see this thing. That's why I'm afraid to say that it wasn't there. But I'm really suspicious just because I looked at Palm Islands and stuff and none of this other stuff showed up. And it doesn't fit all the story I heard about the Palm Islands. And Hainan itself was way dinkier back then. So there's been a lot of changes. They call it the Chinese Hawaii. I've definitely noticed that with a lot of new stuff. It shows up and they'll like recycle a name. Oh, this is the Russian Area 51 and the Chinese Hawaii, and the Ocean Flower Island was rated first in top 10 ugliest buildings in China. How could an island be rated as a building? And also, I think it looks kind of cool. I don't really get it. It certainly... Is Obama's building on the top 10? Because I think it's uglier than that island. I mean, like, some of those things I thought were overall pretty cool, frankly. Bashar says the Greys are human alien hybrids. And then some people say they're us from the future. So, like, I mean, maybe all the stories will come out true. I don't know. So, like, if... How do you get over here from a parallel universe? I mean, but your DNA. I can see maybe like some kind of psychic spirit conversation from the other side, or like but I'm like, how do you get all your DNA over here and stuff? I don't know. But then we see stuff magically changes, and somehow I'm magically in a reality that's different than the one I started in, and my DNA, I would assume, is here, assuming DNA is a real thing. So yeah, I think I've gotten to where everything is so wacky that I don't really trust anything, because it could just magically change. So any story could just change. Whatever seems obvious could suddenly not be true anymore, even. And once you get to there, it's like literally it's shifting sands. It's like I think that's one of the hardest parts is you used to think, well, reality is a certain thing, and it was sort of a stability thing, and now even reality isn't stable. It's like it's hard to get used to that unstable feeling. Okay, let's see. So these guys, I think these are all, yeah, this is another, I think we've had the cockerels, sifakas on, but they do this weird, like, movement thing now that was kind of cool, so I'm just going to put those on. Let me turn off that sound. It's coming after this. This is how they cruise around, like, on the land now, so it's kind of cool. I don't know, and they're just neat. And I actually, when I saw them before, I didn't remember them having this part on their snout. So I think that might be a new thing with the white stripy thing on the nose over the bridge of the nose there. So okay, you can stop now. You know, just seeing like. I don't know if these are supposed to be, okay, this is a lemur center, but they're not very scared of humans, are they? Monkeys on this timeline are pretty bold. All right, and this one was found from Taro Eto, our friend in Japan. I may have had these on before, but I think they've gotten weirder since then. I think I had the babies on, but these are... these weird pigs, podum, or whatever the heck, porcus, with, you know, the crazy ears and the white stripe and it looks like something out of Tolkien, doesn't it? That is just nuts. Red River Hog. Okay. For some reason it's not coming up. Gonna get something out of you. And I might have seen these before, but I don't think the ears were that whack-doodle. So it just has this huge dangly thing, and I kind of, this is one of many things that makes me feel like humans must be doing this, because this is something that humans think looks neat and interesting. And so many of the new creatures have stuff that would be of interest to humans. The stripe along the back, the weird coloration on the ears and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe animals like the same weird crap as humans. It's kind of hard unless you're an animal to know, but... yeah, so Taro Eto found those. Good find. All the other ones, I believe, were Jackie. Even the discussion of the ghost murmur tech, I looked it up and like I couldn't find any. All the experts say that it's bullcrap. So that's really interesting. Yeah, the ears are long with all that dangle. I guess some people claim to have turned into a reptilian on DMT. I mean, like, even if you have a really weird dream, you can turn into something else. Like, you can turn into a panther and be running through the forest and feel the grass under your paws and everything. So, but the question is, like, is it just a sensation, or are you really in some kind of reality where somebody could take your DNA, and are you just, like, riding along in something that has DNA? Are you really there? I don't know, you know. Yeah, sorry, Jackie. You know what? She's talking about like some changes in some of those campy horror movies, but I just don't watch those, so I can't really tell you if they changed. I'm always a human in my dreams. A lot of times I'm just kind of like, I don't know what I am. I mean, like, I don't always have legs that I'm moving. Somehow I'm transporting, but I wouldn't say I'm anything but a point of consciousness a lot of the times, and then other times I feel like I'm human. Rarely I'll feel like I'm something else. Rarely. But those are the most interesting. See that hair? That reminds me of that kid's hair, but I think it was blonder. The Harambe stolen child. Stolen by Harambe. Yep, okay. There's that. There's that. 1:30. I guess I'm moving along rapidly here. Let's see. Take that off. I think these waterways are getting fatter. You know, Saudi looks a little squished and like the water has taken it. Interesting. Yeah, I think those are getting wider. See, the clouds are back. If I wouldn't check that, I'll see. I'm pretty sure I'll see that I checked no clouds. But yet, this thing, what is this? I don't remember that. Oh, that's Socotra. Maybe it was like way smaller or something. I feel like there's constantly growing more dots here. These, what is this? Oh yeah, okay. Wait, this was not there. There is no way this was there. Okay. No, no. Okay. I was going to say this is coming up, but no, it's up now. It's up. All right, when is this? Oh, you can't tell when it was. Data attribution. Let's see. Between 2015 and 2024. Don't narrow it down too much. Okay, so at least 2 years ago or longer. There was no way this was here. The heck is this? The heck is this? I don't even know what's going on here. Is this like... Like, why is this here? Is this underwater? It's not shadows because, see, it doesn't really match and it's not on the same side each time. So... It must be some kind of underwater structure that's built under there. That's weird. I don't even know what the heck that is. Maybe it's a deep water channel? Okay, that could be it. It's a deep water channel that's trenched in there so that ships could go along there. Okay, dredged channels. Okay, this also, wait, quit that. Was not here. Yeah, so I was looking at this recently through here, and what are those? Those Jebel Islands and stuff. Those are the islands. And we had been looking in here. So this area looks like it's it was just like weird waterways, but now it looks like it's actual got names of each of the islands and structures on the islands. So this is developing rapidly in here. This wasn't even here last time I looked. There's more of these trenchings. Let's see, when's this data attribution? Newer. Well, thank you. All right, hopefully I'm back. It looks like OBS cut out for a minute. And like, what's all this? This wasn't here. This is crazy. Look at all this. This is all trenchings, I think. Trenchings. This is crazy. I have not ever seen this stuff. I was even looking at this like a couple days ago. So this is rapidly changing. This is crazy. All in here. More? What the heck? All right, this says it's from 2023, so I should have seen this. Look at that. Look at that. That wasn't there like 2 days ago. Trenchings in here. Is that this? This is a different one. Ah, Trenches go to there, and then is it landing strips, I think. Stop it. What even is this? I could only guess that's a landing strip. I don't know what else it would be. Maybe that's where we're launching from now. Craziness. Okay, so that's new. All that weird stuff's new. Stop it. That's new. What's over here? I don't think that was there, but it's not as obvious as that other stuff. Oh, this. I saw this a couple of days ago. I'm like, there was not like a little sperm island before. Dalma Island. There's no way. There's no way that was not there. Okay. This was the main arrow I was really looking at, but yeah, see now now it's all orderly with trenching and stuff. Before it was just like a swirl, but now it's controlled. So I'm going to guess that we're going to get a whole bunch of construction on here eventually. Ah, okay, here we go. They're working on it. They're working on it. I don't think that was there even a few days ago. Okay, so maybe this is why the Palm Islands are behind, because there's going to be all this stuff now. This is so interesting, all these trenchings. There we are. How big these logo islands are. Okay, so we just looked at this last week. I don't see anything screaming different through here. Oh, you know what I saw a couple days ago here? I don't remember there being... This one I thought had a whole circle there because it reminded me of the Millennium Falcon. And now it's missing that circle thing. And there's none other that have it. So I'm pretty sure it's just gone. The Millennium Falcon one is gone. And now there's like, so it looks like a key. And then there's another looks like a I don't know. What does that look like? A mouth, a key. So there's, and then there's this. I don't remember all these I don't remember Jumeirah Island 2. That might have been the circle thing that was like over here. Is broken off. It's over here. There was no Jumeirah Island 2. Private Island. Oh my gosh. Who owns that kitty? What is this one? That one's kind of a mess. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of new ones. That one's changed. At least one of these is new. I think this one is new. Because I don't remember this at all. And there's a trenching. So I think that's new. One of those two's new. I don't know. I don't really recognize either one of those. I don't really recognize this one either, frankly. This was there for a while. I don't think I recognize that one. I bet you that this looks a lot like what further south used to look like. So I think we're going to get trenchings and more control. It's kind of halfway there now. So keep an eye on this because I think it's going to go the way of those others. There's another little... Oh, there's those. Okay, there's a... Oh, it still looks different, though. It doesn't really look like one piece anymore. It used to look like one piece. It was like half that and half the one down there. Okay, that's the circle thing, but then it came around like that before, so That one changed. And then there's a circle thing there. There wasn't this. Crazy town. So I don't know, we're going to get a million of these weird tourist islands now, I guess. I kind of wonder, amidst all of the war, if like a whole bunch of cool stuff's going to show up in Iran too. I wouldn't be surprised if we just find tons of neat stuff in there. With all the attention on Iran, it's going to like feed that attention, and I bet it's going to grow some cool stuff. I kind of feel like Iran got a little smaller, too. I don't know. It seems just like a little smaller compared to these. Unless these got bigger. Didn't Iran used to be bigger than there? I thought it was way up there more. Something's off. Everything is real shifty right now. So whenever there's something going on, it really pays to keep looking in that area, because I swear wherever there's activity, that area gets very shifty. I mean, there is cool stuff in Iran already, of course, but I bet we're going to find like stuff you don't remember being there, like a lot. It's a big area and stuff's coming up all over. I expect we'll find a lot of like ancient ruins, or like old but fixed up nice. It's a tadpole. Yeah, that's it. It's a tadpole. It's a tadpole. Good idea. I'll call it the tadpole. That's safer, right? Let's see. Okay. Oh, I do have a couple more. This is a weird one, and I don't know if you're from my timeline, but when you stay in the water a long time, when was the last time your fingers got really wrinkly? Because I remember if you stayed in a long time, that it would be really crinkly, like really, it's sort of irritating, like how crinkled up it would get from like, and I never even thought about it, like why, like why is it, why did that even happen? I don't think the water did it, I mean, I literally didn't look into it that much, but it just occurred to me that hasn't happened in years. No matter how long I'm in the water, they just don't they don't get that waterlogged thing anymore. It doesn't happen anymore. Like, not at all. I'm sure they still create. I don't know, when's the last time you had it? Because it's been years. It hasn't happened. I have almost no fingerprints. It does feel like there's, I thought it was because I was doing this weird aspirin salicylic acid face cream that it felt like there's less fingerprints, but I thought I might have like pulverized them off a little bit because of that. I don't know. But yeah, it does. It feels like things feel smoother because of that. I mean, they used to get really like misshapen, like really. Let me see what I can find. Let me see what images I can find. Waterlogged fingers. But my fingers, they don't do it anymore. Pruny. Okay. Pruny fingers. Why did they call it pruny? Like that. It used to get like that. It was crazy. It doesn't do it anymore. It just doesn't. I don't know why, but I'm like immune to it. They just stay the same. What even causes that? What causes pruny fingers? What causes pruny fingers? Vasoconstriction. Designed to improve grip on water objects. It can also occur due to specific medical conditions. That's not the story I remember. It was something to do with osmosis or some water. Yeah, now I'm kind of mad that I don't really have the full memory, but it had something to do with, like, what was that? Because, you know, it's clear that you're not actually soaking up water, because then you'd be plumpy. But it wasn't wrinkling so you're like a frog. That was not it. Triggers nervous system to constrict blood vessels. That was not it. Dehydration, lack of water intake reduces skin. You know, it wasn't that. Since the process is nerve regulated, individuals with damage to the median nerve may not experience wrinkling even when submerged. Maybe that's me. I don't know. Do I have nerve damage? I'm getting old and my nerve is lazy. I have no idea. This whole story is completely new to me, though. It was some kind of water osmosis pressure thing before, so now it's a nerve thing. Damage to the median nerve. What the heck is the median nerve? The median nerve. Is that the one in the middle of the hand? Damage to the median nerve. Median nerve. Controls the motor function in the forearm while providing sensation to the thumb. Numbness, tingling, and weakness. I don't really have any of that. I certainly don't have any weakness. I don't think I have any numbness. There's not pain. There's not carpal tunnel. I don't think I have any of these. I mean, there's not really, I don't even really have arthritis that I know of. I think my fingers might be a little stiffer than when I was younger, but... Tinel sign and Phelan's test. I've never heard of any of that business. This is, see, like, this is kind of the thing now. Everything is just so weird. I just feel like I lost whatever threads of the old reality are just washed away. Everything is weird now. Like, I just, there'll be 100 words I've never heard of any of that stuff. And there's so many like that. It's definitely disconcerting. Like they were talking about CENTCOM, like our military, no word from CENTCOM. I'm like, what the F is CENTCOM? I've never heard of CENTCOM until like last week. And I mean, I come from a military family, so CENTCOM, that's another one. I should have written that one down. CENTCOM. Probably should look it up. Every day now, it's like, what the F is that? Yeah, I take long showers. It just doesn't happen anymore. Yeah, I don't know. I don't always take long showers, but I sometimes do. You don't know about wrinkly feet? I'm just wondering if there are people from this timeline that don't get it, you know? Because, like, if I don't get it anymore, maybe nobody gets it. Yeah, toes. Fingers were the worst, though, but yeah, toes. I wash dishes at work. My fingers rarely get wrinkled. Huh? But it used to be always, like, it was kind of one of the things that took away some of the pleasure of a long shower, because it really didn't take that long before they got all wrinkly, and it was kind of irritating. You could feel the wrinkles. Okay, so there's that, and it's gone. Caused by nerve action. Alright, and one other that is pretty weird. Most of you have probably heard of the whole Jesus walked on water thing. As one of his miracles, his most famous miracles was that he was able to walk on water. Then there was that lizard that could kind of run on water, and it was nicknamed the Jesus lizard for the same reason. But was there anybody else in the Bible who could walk on water? Albeit briefly, but I do not remember anybody else walking on water. And that was kind of one of the things, like, Jesus was special because he could walk on water, but not so cut and dried anymore, because now one of his apostles also walked on water, although briefly, but now Peter walked on water. Whoa, it says twice? Twice? I don't remember it being twice. All right, now I got to see how it was twice, because I looked this up like 2 weeks ago, and I forgot to have it on last week's. Oh, okay. Twice in the same event. Okay. So now in Matthew 14:22 through 33, the story is that Jesus basically said, come to me, and Peter was in the boat, and he started walking on the water, and then he looked around, and I guess there were like high winds. I don't know why high winds would make you scared of walking on water, but somehow he started to doubt, and then he started to sink. When he took his eyes off him and focused on the storm. And then he started to sink, and then he called out and said, help. And then Jesus came to him and held his hand. And then he was able to walk on the water again. And then Jesus said something about, why did you doubt? Let's see. Let me see the whole thing. Which I think is really interesting, because there's more talk of this faith, if you have the faith. Now, Jesus doesn't say you failed to look at me, or you didn't believe in me exactly. He said you didn't have faith. What is this thing? When they say faith, people think they know what faith is. Do we really know what it is exactly? Because in several places in the Bible it says you could walk on water, and it also says, I think it still says this, that if you have but like 1 teaspoon of faith, you can move mountains. And he literally means like the mountains will move. Now, we have seen that they do move from the Mandela, okay? But apparently they can move from faith, according to Jesus. But I just think it's really interesting that, like, people have a lot of assumptions. They're told what to believe is faith. But did we really know for sure what they mean by this word? Considering, it's translated from other languages, it might have had other nuances in that language. Then it's translated through to a couple more languages, and then it's in our language, and then it's further, the meaning of it further evolves from what the church elders say. Not so much a miracle as is a story of faith. See, Jesus chides Peter for his little faith. So he doesn't chide him for, so basically he's saying, if you had faith, you could walk on this water. So that doesn't make Jesus so special, other than that Jesus was able to have faith. But it kind of insinuates that if you have faith, then you too could, which opens the way for miracles for the average person. Now, maybe you can argue, okay, well, we're not able to have that much faith, but so they're saying he walked on water twice because he walked some, then he started to sink, then Jesus grabbed his hand, and then he walked again. So obviously, if you really stepped out of the boat onto the water, you're going to sink in 1 millisecond. There's not going to be a time when you're like, oh no, I'm sinking slowly. Oh, Jesus, grab my hand. You know, even the fact that he started to sink but didn't immediately splash into the ocean is still a miracle. Even a slow sinking, like a halfway walking, is still a miracle. Anything that doesn't involve immediately splashing under the water is still a miracle. Maybe it's less of a miracle. Maybe it's half. It's not as good a miracle, but it is still one. Let's see. Peter walked on water. I want to see the part in the Bible where it says that. Yeah. Let's see, here we go. And he saw that they were making headway painfully, for the wind was against them. And about the 4th watch of the night, he came to them walking on the sea. He meant to pass by them, but when they saw him walking on the sea, they thought it was a ghost and cried out. For they all saw him and were terrified. But immediately he spoke to them and said, "Take heart, it is I, do not be afraid." And he got into the boat with them. And they were astounded. All right, it's only in Peter. Oh, it's only in Matthew. Wait, it's not in, yeah. All right, so here we go. And Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink. He cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying, "O ye of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they got onto the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." Okay, so he said, why did you doubt? Okay, doubt what? Faith what? What are we, what does that mean? It's just, I just think it's really interesting, considering that we have seen basically miracles in the Mandela, and we're not sure what caused them. But I don't remember any part where Peter walked on water. It's only in one of the Gospels right now, but we have definitely in other Bible changes seen them show up in just one of the Gospels at first. And then everybody's like, oh, well, that's only in one. You probably just didn't know about it because you read a different Gospel. And then it's in 2, and then it's in 3, and then the old way is gone. So but I mean, that was always this special thing. Jesus walked on water. Well, now Jesus and Peter walked on water? I don't remember a part where it was twice. So, yeah, I mean, I would call that one event, but they're basically saying he walked some, then he started sinking, then he regained his footing. I call that one, but okay. It's interesting, though, that it immediately said twice as an offer, so maybe we will get into the point where it splits out into 2, because I just don't see, the way it's written now, a lot of people going, oh, that counts as twice. It seems like an awful stretch for it to be an offer on a Google search. There is no spoon. Yeah, I mean, well, try. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying there isn't a good reason to doubt, but the point is that if you can somehow manage not to doubt, could you walk on water? I don't know. I mean, if animals can magically show up and buildings can magically show up, walking on water isn't that strange anymore. I have definitely seen Dark City for sure. Dark City is better and more accurate than The Matrix. I don't know, because I don't know what's going on, and I don't know if evil aliens are magically altering my memory or not. But I do think Dark City came before, and it does seem that The Matrix ripped off a lot from Dark City. But The Matrix had a way better budget and a lot better fight scenes because of the big budget. So there's that. I like Dark City, but I don't know if it's for everybody. And it's kind of dark, basically. Although, well, I won't say what the ending is, but... If this is a VR headset, then yeah, we can walk on water if they change our code to accommodate that ability. Or if we change our mindset to hack the code, would be the other way, which is via faith, apparently. That's why I'm really interested in this faith business, because it seems like it's the cheat code. This faith is the cheat code. So you can see the difficulty, though. Let us just say, for the sake of argument, that faith means belief in, like, your ability to walk on water. Let's just say, okay, if you really believe deep inside that you could walk on water, and you had utter faith in your power to walk on water, could you walk on water? Well, it's hard to find out, because it's very hard to have utter faith in your ability to walk on water. Like, knowing that people say you can't, but just saying, like, I have such command of this reality now with my knowledge that I can walk on it. Would it be possible? The hard part is getting to the point where you could ever test that, because there's going to be a part of you, a big part of you, going, well, I don't think I could do this, because everybody knows you sink, and good luck getting rid of that. It won't be that easy, So that's the actual hard part. Yeah, Shell Beach. Yeah. I mean, does Flower Island exist before you get there? I don't know, or is it just, I don't know. So this thing about faith, what is it? What did Peter believe in that let him walk? Because it doesn't look like God is really saying, Jesus is really saying you have to believe in God to walk on water. Like, he doesn't clarify that. So I just think it's interesting. Maybe it's just your belief. It's your belief. That's my suspicion, that it is your belief. So we're born and we're trained from the day we flop out of the womb that certain things are what's possible and others aren't. And then now you're 20 or 40 or 50 or whatever. And now if you're going to try to say, no, actually, I believe that's all wrong and I could do it if I really want to, it's going to be pretty hard, right? It's going to be pretty hard. But then if you started seeing the Mandela and all this weird stuff, well, I don't know. Maybe if I had faith that this pen could turn purple, maybe that's a small enough miracle that I could make it happen. If I did it just right, or maybe somebody would just show up right now and go, hey, you want this pen, and it would be a purple version or something. But some way, maybe that miracle could happen. And it's a small enough one that I could kind of accept that it could happen, right? And we've kind of seen stuff like that, where like somebody really, really wanted an outlet near their bed, and then one day there was an outlet, like a plug-in outlet near their bed, and then they kind of freaked out because they didn't say, I'm going to make a plug-in outlet near my bed, but they really wanted one, and then one day it was there, and they know it wasn't there because, of course, you looked because you really wished one was there, and you see it's not, and then you're like, womp womp. So if one then shows up later, you're kind of freaking out. I really wanted my toothbrush to have a way to set it so it would stay still while I put the toothpaste on, which is like the world's smallest miracle, but it still yet is a miracle that two little nubs of plastic showed up on that thing so that I could put my toothpaste in. It's like the world's smallest miracle, but it is a miracle, and we are seeing these miracles around us. It's tiny miracles. They're not big walk on water miracles, but we're seeing them. And they do seem to have something to do with desire, wishes, thoughts, So what's the cheat code on this? Like, how does it work? That's why I'm kind of looking at this stuff. And if the cheat code can be understood better, can we then apply it to important stuff like no wars, getting along, there's that too. So, I mean, instead of like becoming emperor of the universe and having someone wait on you on a slave, what would be your desire if you knew the cheat code? Like, how would you apply it? We could try applying it to more than 2 little nubs of plastic on my toothbrush. Could we have it that somehow we get through this war without too much more damage? Those kind of things, Can we find a path to human evolution where we're less aggressive and we get along better? We've seen that there's evolution happening somehow. Some changes are happening in the body and brain. So I like to think it's possible that we could get to a point where we got along better. So maybe that's, is that a miracle that we can accomplish? I want to know what the route is to that. Because if you look historically, we've always fought and fought and fought, and the wars and wars and wars. And what's happening now is not exactly the first round of this bullcrap. Is there a way out of this hamster wheel? That's what I want to know. What's the way into a nicer hamster wheel, at least? So that's kind of why I wanted to talk about the miracles thing. Because, we don't need to walk on water, but it would be nice to have maybe a little evolution in ability to get along, those kind of things. Yeah, and, so can we just work on that on our own neck of the woods where we learn to be a little more peaceful to people around us? And if we all did that, would that like percolate up into the larger swimming pool of reality? Maybe something like that. I don't know. What's the cheat codes? We need to find the cheat codes. And then we should use them for good, right? At least try to use them for good. So that's kind of what was been on my mind with this Peter walked on water faith thing. It's a Mandela for me. I don't think anybody else walked on water besides Jesus before. But now we have Peter did because of faith. Something to think about. Anyway, so that's it. I think we need to have as much faith as we can in the good, especially now that we'll get through it to a better world. So, you know the drill. Think good thoughts, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.